You were lying on the couch editing a photo when your life changes, and you don't know it yet because your life looks exactly the same as it always does. The photo is on your phone. You took it 4 months ago on a Friday night at 11:23. The metadata says so, and the metadata is the most precise thing about the whole memory. She was sitting on your couch, this couch, the secondhand one with a slight dip on the left side, wearing a Bauhaus t-shirt she found at a Goodwill in a strip mall outside the city, and a headset hung around her neck like jewelry she forgot to take off. The light was coming from the lava lamp at the right angle, and you spent about 20 minutes getting the framing exactly where you wanted it. She didn't complain. She let you move her chin a half inch to the left without making it weird. The result is the kind of photo where the subject looks slightly off camera, not posing, just existing beautifully in someone else's space. She used it as her profile picture for 3 months. You remember feeling when she posted it like a real photographer, like a person who sees things. The apartment around you right now is the same apartment it was when you took that picture. The lava lamp is orange and on. The fairy lights are strung across the shelf above the television, warm white, hung there 2 years ago as a joke that stopped being a joke around month 3. There is a Criterion Blu-ray of Contempt stacked on top of a car manual you've never opened. There is a deadlift bar in the corner next to a foam roller you use as a footrest. The coffee table has a container of pad thai going cold on it, and the ceiling above you has a water stain in the rough shape of Florida. You know this apartment. You know every inch of it. You arranged it to look like the inside of a specific kind of brain. Curious, a little ironic, deeper than it appears. You are proud of it in the way you don't say out loud. You close the photo app. You open it again. You close it. Your phone buzzes. 3 words and a question mark. You read it twice. Then you put the phone face down on your chest and stare at Florida for 90 seconds, which is the longest 90 seconds of your life to this point, which you recognize even as it is happening, which makes it worse somehow. Then you pick the phone back up and read it a 3rd time to confirm it says what you think it says. It does. Your first thought is logistical. When, how, the specific arithmetic of the last 2 months. Your second thought arrives before the first one finishes, and it is white static. A total clearing, like a television switching inputs. Your third thought, which you will not let yourself fully form for several days, is, I don't actually know her. You met her in a Discord server 4 months before the text. It was a mutual thing, a friend of a friend, a gaming server, a voice channel called General But Make It Specific that someone had renamed as a bit and then left that way. You weren't trying to meet anyone. You were killing a Tuesday. You ended up in the same voice channel as her because you both wandered in around midnight and neither of you wandered out until almost 4 in the morning, talking about a video game neither of you particularly cared about, and then about 17 other things that had nothing to do with it. Her cat knocked something off her desk around 2 a.m., and she said, without missing a beat, "That's Baudrillard. He's a philosopher." You said, "The cat or the thing he knocked over." She laughed, not a courtesy laugh, a real one, the kind that takes a half second to arrive because it surprised her. You thought, this is someone I need to know. The fact that she was also extremely attractive was, you told yourself, incidental. What followed was the kind of arrangement that people your age have developed a whole vocabulary for not naming. You drove 20 minutes out of the city at midnight to a diner called Mel's with laminate menus and ceramic coffee mugs and a jukebox that only works if you hit it on the upper left corner. She put her feet on your dash without asking and changed your music without asking, and you didn't say anything because you didn't mind, which was new. You went to a vintage market on a Saturday afternoon, and she found a $4 dress, and you found a coffee table book on brutalist architecture for $18 that now lives on your shelf and has never been opened. You went to a show at a small venue, 40 people, a band you both half knew, a room that smelled of old carpet and cheap beer, and you stood next to each other and didn't talk much, and it was fine. You had a policy about labels. Labels were where things went wrong. Name things carried expectations, and expectations were a specific kind of debt that aged people badly. You had watched enough people your age burn down perfectly workable situations by insisting on definitions. You were smarter than that. She had a policy too, or said she did. She said she didn't do the clingy thing. She said she found people who needed constant reassurance exhausting. You felt, hearing this, a particular kind of relief. The relief of finding someone who wanted the same freedom you did, someone on your frequency, someone who understood that the best arrangements were the ones you didn't have to maintain. You took this as evidence that you had chosen well. It did not occur to you that a person who announces up front that they don't need reassurance may be telling you the precise thing they need most. The text arrives on a Tuesday morning and you lie on the couch for a while, and then you get up and you text her back. You meet her at a CVS, neutral ground, though neither of you says that. She is standing near the birthday cards when you walk in, not reading them, just standing there, her jacket collar turned up slightly, one earbud in. She looks exactly like she always looks. This is somehow the most disorienting thing. You expected her to look different, marked somehow. And she looks like herself. And you realize you don't know if the way she always looks includes fear or not, because you have never specifically looked for it. You buy 2 tests, different brands, you read somewhere you're supposed to confirm with the second one. Mostly you just need something to do with your hands. The total comes to $26.47 and you put it on your card and she doesn't argue with you about it, which is also new. The walk to her apartment takes 4 minutes. You don't talk much. There is a specific quality to this silence. Not comfortable, not charged, just airless, like a room where someone has turned off the white noise machine and you hadn't realized until now how much you were relying on it. She goes into the bathroom. You sit on the floor in the hallway with your back against the door. The apartment from this angle is different from any angle you've occupied before. Lower, more exposed, more real. You can see the power strip under the coffee table, 6 things plugged into it, a little orange light saying it's full. You can see a stack of sketchbooks pushed against the wall beneath the table, 6 or 7 of them, covers worn down. You've been in this apartment probably 40 times. And you have never noticed the sketchbooks. You don't know what she draws. You don't know if she draws, or if those are old, from a class, from some previous version of herself. You don't know. Baudrillard comes and sits next to you and stares at you with the full authority of a cat who lives here and knows things you don't. There is a pair of shoes by the front door, canvas sneakers, white with a little pink detail, children's size 5, not recent. The rubber is yellowed in the way things yellow over years. You have walked past these shoes 40 times and assumed they were decorative or ironic, a thrift find left at the door. You look at them now and understand they are hers from a long time ago, and she has kept them for reasons she has never mentioned and you have never asked. The bathroom door opens. She comes out and sits next to you on the floor, not across from you, beside you, both of your backs against the hallway wall, and she holds the test face down in her lap for a moment. You can hear her breathing. The apartment smells of her candle, something with cedar in it, and underneath that, the particular neutral smell of old carpet. She turns the test over. 2 lines. She looks at it for a second, and then she sets it on the floor between you. Then she tells you she already knew. She's been looking at 2 lines since yesterday. She wanted a second confirmation, and she wanted you to be there for it, and she did not tell you this was what she needed, and you did not ask what she needed, and so you are sitting on the floor of her apartment hallway with her sketchbooks and her childhood shoes and her cat in a pregnancy test between you and the specific wait of 4 months of not asking anything real. You go home. It's the only thing you know how to do. Your apartment is the same. Of course it is. The lava lamp, the fairy lights, the Criterion Blu-ray, the deadlift bar, the foam roller you use as a footrest. The pad thai is still on the coffee table, cold now. Actually cold. You eat Honey Nut Cheerios standing at the kitchen counter because making anything feels like too much and ordering anything feels like too much, and you are already behind on both of those feelings. You text 3 people things that have nothing to do with what happened today. A meme. A response to something sent earlier in the week. A question about a show. Your thumbs move on autopilot. The part of you that manages your social presence is operating independently of the part of you that sat on a hallway floor tonight, and those 2 parts have never been this far apart before. You pick up the Brutalist architecture book, you put it down. Around midnight, you open your Photos app and you go back to the photo. 11:23 on a Friday, 4 months ago. She's looking slightly off camera, the headset around her neck, the Bauhaus t-shirt, the light from the lava lamp catching the left side of her face. The grain filter you applied makes it look like something from a film you'd have strong opinions about. It is a beautiful photograph. You are a person who took a beautiful photograph of someone and felt, doing it, that you were seeing them. You look at it for a long time and it tells you nothing. It doesn't tell you that she keeps childhood shoes by the door. It doesn't tell you how she sounds when she is afraid. It doesn't tell you where she is from originally, or what her family is like, or what she was at age 12, or whether she is lying on her own floor right now thinking about what you are going to do. You took this picture to keep something, And what you kept was light and angle and the specific way a grain filter makes a moment feel significant. You kept the surface. You thought that was the thing. You put the phone down. You lie there under the fairy lights you hung up as a joke, and Florida is up there and the lava lamp is going, and you feel something in your chest that doesn't have a name you've used before. It is not entirely fear. It is something in the same family as grief which doesn't make sense to you because nothing has ended. Unless something ended a while ago and you were too comfortable to notice. You don't sleep well. This is new too. 2 days later, you meet at a coffee place equidistant between your apartments. You get there first and order an Americano before she arrives because you need something to do with your hands. A sentence that is becoming a pattern. The coffee place has those small round tables that wobble slightly and mismatched chairs and a chalkboard menu and whatever ambient music the person working the espresso machine felt like playing today, which is something with a lot of piano. She comes in wearing her jacket and orders her oat milk latte and sits across from you, and for about 30 seconds, you say things that are not the thing. You have prepared the thing. You rehearsed it in the shower, a tone that was calm and reasonable and showed that you were taking this seriously while not overcommitting to a position before you understood what was actually being asked of you. In the shower, it sounded like a person who had their life together. Sitting across from her at a wobbling table with piano music playing it sounds like a terms and conditions agreement, all technical correctness and zero human presence. She talks first. She doesn't cry. She has never, in 4 months, cried in front of you, and you have always read this as composure, as a quality you share, as evidence that you were well matched. Sitting here now, you wonder for the first time whether she cried last night, alone, and what it looked like, and whether the absence of it in front of you has ever been a choice she made rather than an absence of feeling. She lays out what she is thinking, what she isn't thinking yet, what she needs to figure out. She says she doesn't know what she's going to decide, and she's not asking you to feel a particular way about it. She says she knows this wasn't a plan. Then she looks at you, and she says, I'm not asking you to feel a certain way. I'm asking you to actually show up while I figure this out. The table wobbles when you set your cup down. You have never been asked to show up. You have always been invited to, loosely, contingently, with the implicit understanding that the invitation was optional, that your presence was welcome, but your absence would be understood, that everyone involved was too sophisticated for need. You built your life around this understanding. You chose people who seemed to share it. You chose her partly because she seemed to share it. And now she is sitting across from you at a wobbling table and asking you to be present in a way that has no opt-out and no ironic distance and no grain filter. And you understand, in a way that goes below your prepared speech, that you don't know if you are capable of that. You say, okay. Not a full sentence. Just that. She holds your eyes for a second to make sure you mean it, or to see if she can tell, and then she picks up her cup, and the conversation shifts into the practical. And you talk about logistics the way people talk about logistics when neither of them wants to be the first to stop talking about logistics. You walk out into the afternoon. The piano music follows you to the door, and then doesn't. A week later, she has an appointment. She asks if you can drive. You say yes, and you show up at her apartment at the time she said, and you drive, and she has her headphones in. But you can see from the angle of her phone on her knee that the music app isn't playing. The headphones are a wall, which you understand because you have your own walls. Yours are just less visible. The clinic waiting room has pale green walls and a television mounted too high in the corner, playing a home renovation show with the volume turned down so low it might as well not be on. The chairs are the stackable kind with thin padding in a dark gray, the kind of chair designed to be functional and nothing else. There are 2 other people in the waiting room. A National Geographic from 14 months ago sits on a side table and no one is reading it. The room smells of industrial cleaning product and recycled air. You are there. This is the whole of what you can offer right now, and you know it, and you are there anyway. She has her headphones in, and she is looking at the too high television, and you are looking at the same thing, and neither of you is watching it. Someone on the screen is walking through a kitchen and gesturing at things. The counters are white. The camera cuts to a before photo, and then an after photo, and the after is very clean and a little empty. Your leg is bouncing, and you stop it. Your jaw is tight, and you notice and unclench it. You are doing the things you do when you are keeping yourself from being in a room, the small physical exits, the places your body goes when your mind wants somewhere else to be. You stop doing them. You sit there. The chair is uncomfortable in the specific way of chairs designed for people to not stay long. She pulls one earbud out. She says, "You don't have to look so terrified." You don't say anything because you don't have anything that isn't either too much or not enough. She puts the earbud back in, and then she reaches over and puts her hand on the back of your wrist, not holding your hand, just resting hers on yours. Her palm on the back of your hand the way you'd rest something down on a table, and her hand is cold and dry and present. And you sit there for the next 43 minutes watching a home renovation show you cannot hear and you do not move, and she does not move her hand. And no one says anything, and this is the most present you have been in a room in years. You don't know what she is deciding, you know what she has been thinking, and you know she hasn't finished thinking it, and you know this is not your decision to make, and you know you are here as a presence, not a vote. You understand all of this correctly, and still the understanding is not the same as feeling it. And what you feel is something close to vertigo. The particular vertigo of a person who has always stood slightly outside things and is now, without planning for it, inside something, really inside, with no exterior view. The number on the clock above the too-high television moves slowly. You walk out into the late afternoon. The light is doing something unreasonable. That specific amber that happens in the hour before evening, the kind that hits flat surfaces like parking lots and makes them look like they're in a film. The kind that has no relationship to how the day has gone or how you feel. The kind that shows up anyway, indifferent and generous. She leans against the passenger side of your car and looks up for a moment, and you stand there on the driver's side and the amber light is on both of you, and neither of you says anything clever or useful or safe. Then she looks at you. She says, "I don't know what we are." You say, "I know." She says, "That has to change." You say, "Yeah." 4 lines. The 4 most accurate things either of you has said in 4 months. The amber light doesn't care. It keeps doing what it does. You drive her home. You drive yourself home. The city does the thing it does at evening, the particular transition from rush to quiet, the streetlights deciding to come on, the windows of apartments going warm and yellow. You watch all of it from behind the wheel with the radio off, and you don't fill the silence with anything, because there isn't anything to fill it with. Your apartment is waiting for you the way it always is. The lava lamp, the fairy lights, the Criterion Blu-ray on the car manual, the deadlift bar, the architecture book on the shelf with its yellow cover, the coffee table, the water stain on the ceiling, Florida, up there, unmoved by anything. You stand in the doorway for a second and look at all of it, and then you go in and you sit on the couch and you don't turn anything on. The apartment is quiet, in the way rooms are quiet when you stop filling them. You pick up your phone. You know which app you're going to open before you open it. You know which photo you're going to find. 11:23 p.m. on a Friday, the metadata says, the way it always says, and there she is, slightly off camera, the headset like jewelry, the Bauhaus t-shirt, the lava lamp light on the left side of her face, the grain filter doing what grain filters do. The composition you spent 20 minutes on. The photograph that she used as her profile picture for 3 months, that you kept on your phone like a thing you made, like evidence of your ability to see. It is still a good photograph. The light is still right. The angle is still right. She is still beautiful in it, and the beauty is still the specific kind that looks effortless and is not. The kind that requires someone behind a camera spending 20 minutes getting the framing exactly where they want it, and someone in front of the camera staying still and letting them. But it is a photograph of a person looking slightly away from the camera, and it tells you the color of the light and the brand of her t-shirt and the specific geometry of her jaw, and it tells you nothing. It tells you nothing about the sketchbooks under the coffee table, nothing about the shoes by the door, nothing about how her hand feels when it is cold, and she puts it on the back of your wrist in a waiting room with pale green walls. Nothing about what her laugh sounds like when it surprises her. Nothing about what she is or has been deciding. Nothing about who she was before you met her or what she carries that you have never thought to ask about. Because you were not trying to know her. You were trying to keep her. And you told yourself those were the same thing. You took this photograph because it looked like something. You kept it because it felt like intimacy. You used it as evidence to yourself and to no one in particular that you were a person who paid attention, who noticed things, who saw what other people missed. And the photograph is beautiful and you made it, and it is a perfect record of a night when you did not see anything at all. You don't delete it. You put the phone down on the cushion next to you, and you sit in the apartment that looks exactly like the inside of a person who has everything organized and under control. The apartment that you arranged with care to look like a specific kind of brain. And you feel the full weight of not knowing what you're doing. And this time, you don't find the ironic angle on it. You don't locate the version of it that sounds like a choice you made. You don't perform it for the imaginary audience that lives in the back of your head and rates your reactions. You just feel it. It sits there on the couch next to you like a person who isn't leaving. The lava lamp turns over and over, the fairy lights are warm, Florida is up there. At some point, the pad thai container is from a different night, and the Cheerios box has less in it. And you have been to 2 more appointments and had 3 more conversations that were harder than you expected, and easier than you feared, and different from anything you'd prepared for. And she has made a decision and told you what it is, and you sat with it and did not disappear. Which is not nothing, which is also not everything, but is the most honest accounting of where you are. You are not fixed. That is not how this works, and you know it. There is no version of this story where 4 months of careful emotional distance is undone by a waiting room and a parking lot and a Tuesday morning text message. You are still a person who has a grain filter for every feeling. You are still a person who arranged his apartment to look like a version of himself he wanted to inhabit. You are still a person who, for 4 months, looked at her through a lens and called it knowing her and meant it, which is maybe the worst part, that you meant it. But you drove her to the appointment, and you sat in the stackable chair for 43 minutes watching a muted home renovation show. And you felt her cold hand on the back of your wrist, and you did not move. And you were there, actually there, in the room with the pale green walls and the recycled air and the National Geographic nobody was reading, without the grain filter, without the 20 minutes of getting the angle right, without the quiet pride of making something beautiful out of the available light. You were just there. The lava lamp turns, the fairy lights are on. The photo is still on your phone, 3 apps over, still beautiful, still insufficient, still exactly what you made it. A perfect image of a person you hadn't met yet. You sit there with that for a long time. Most people your age have dozens of photographs like it, beautifully lit records of people they were near but not present for. The terrifying thing is how long you can go before the difference asks you to account for it. If you want to see more, click the video on screen now.